one question to ask you guys, and I believe, Scott, you answered it already. So, please identify in the order of criticality the top 3 areas the newly elected Multnomah County Auditor should audit.
Should I go first? Yeah. I can elaborate a little bit. So my top priority is mental health and physical health programs that the county offers. So the county is the safety net for our community. I think mental health is a gigantic issue. I think we're going to be ashamed of ourselves in 25 years how little attention we pay to that and how we let that slide for a lot of communities. So within that, I think a top priority for me is getting out in the schools and looking at mental health services delivered in the schools and whether we can expand access to that. I've audited schools a lot. I've worked on a lot as a reporter, and one consistent problem I've heard about, and I've heard from the folks who work there, is that they need more support on the behavioral healthcare side. I think also, I like that idea because I think it'll get us out to some of our most high priority schools across the county, and that'll help us determine a lot of issues. The second priority for me is the justice system. So that's DA, sheriff, jails, office, Department of Community Justice. And my top priority, or at least the first one I'd like to attack on that one, is Department of Community Justice. Because they've had a lot of problems, a lot of new directors, and one of the problems that they've had, I think, is concerns about racism and nepotism within the department. And that's been a problem with employees at Multnomah County for raising issues of a lot of racism and discrimination. So I think we could sort of do, in a way, a case study within the Department of Community Justice. It does probation and parole, it does juvenile justice, and I think these things are affecting their performance, and we can get at that. And third and finally, I'd like to look at housing and homeless services. With homeless services, I think we can look at best practices, see how we're doing on that, and look at other communities as well.
I launched my campaign in July of 2017, and when I did so, I made my priority projects really clear because I wanted people to know throughout my campaign where I would be focusing so you would know what you were voting for. The first thing that I want to look at is also our homeless services. We've done 2 audits on homeless services in the past few years, but what we haven't done is approached it from the perspective of people trying to access services. Yet we continue to hear anecdotal stories from people talking about how they went to a particular nonprofit to access services, to get help to stay in their home, or perhaps they were in their car at that point to get some support, and the place didn't have anything to offer them. Some places apparently have a lottery system where you can call in once a month. If you're lucky, you can get services that way. So I think we really need to be out there making sure that the more than $50 million we're spending on this each year is actually affecting change in people's lives, so we have fewer people on the streets and more people are able to stay in their homes. Secondly, as I sort of alluded to in my opening remarks, I want to audit the jails. We have a lot of information now about what conditions are like and how they've been improving. We need to keep looking into that and reporting back to you. It would be the first in a series of justice system audits that I would do throughout my tenure. Finally, I want to look at what's happening on the ground in our care homes for adults and seniors and adults with disabilities. A year ago, the Oregonian published information about a state database for these homes. And what we found out is that many instances of abuse or potential abuse were not logged in this database that people were relying on to find good homes for their family members. More than 600 of these homes contract with the county. I think it's really important that we get in there and make sure the conditions are safe for our loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm still Laura Harris. Now, the independent auditor that the county has been in place at least 10 years. And sometimes when you're connected with an organization for that long, you usually become like family. I know the county gets lots of funds and it's dispersed in different ways. What would you do to make sure that the independent auditor that the county has is properly auditing and that spending and monies that are coming into the county are being dispersed properly where it should go.
So the auditor is elected specifically for the reason that it's independent from the other elected officials at the county. As auditor, I will report to you. And I take that very seriously. As I've been campaigning, I've been going to different parts of the county, out in East County, door knocking around here, hosting coffees, doing a variety of things to get to know different community issues and be more visible so that you, when I'm in office, can hold me accountable and make sure that I am being as independent as possible. The auditor has the presence of mind to maintain that independence, but we also follow a code of ethics from our professional association that helps guide us along the way and take a lot of training to ensure that we are independent both in mind and in appearance. So for example, I had a situation where a commissioner wanted to endorse me and I had to decline that and explain why that was not appropriate and that I want to have a good working relationship, but I'm not going to be that person's friend. I'm going to be holding them accountable for you. I had another situation where a very vocal critic of a particular program at the county sent me a campaign donation, and I had to explain that I couldn't accept that because I have to both be and appear independent to everyone. So I want to make sure that at all times I'm thinking about you, the community I'm serving, and how it would appear to you if I were having close relationships with some of those groups. I think you can work well, be civil, but my job is to always be studying and looking deeper into how our money is being spent so that we're getting the most out of it that we can for all the vulnerable people in our community.
Thanks for the question. I love the fact that it's an independent office. I was a reporter for 23 years, and that's built on independence, about calling out elephants in the room. And what's been beautiful about auditing, I started at the state 5 years ago, is that unlike reporting, you've got complete access to everybody in the agency. You're not running through a public relations person. And you've got complete access to records, including confidential records. So you can get a great picture of what's going on. In most cases, much better than a reporter could ever get. And what drives that being effective is being independent. So it's coming in and being able to, you're going to make management mad. Usually the workers are kind of the ones that you're talking with who are telling you about things that are going wrong. But you can't, as an outsider, I know I will come in and I'm not going to be, accepting the same explanations from management they've probably been getting for a long time. I think that outside perspective is huge. And let me just give you an example. I came in to the state, and I had been a reporter, so I was coming in from sort of an outside private sector profession. And the first audit I worked on was temporary assistance for needy families, which is a huge program. It serves typically single mothers, some forced families in our state, all of them with children. And we dug in and jumped right into that, looked at confidential records, crunched a ton of numbers, did a lot of research. And we issued a report that was really highly critical and that management was completely opposed to. They were, just really irate with us, even though we told them all along what we were finding. That the caseworkers and the other folks weren't irate with us, but we issued a strongly worded report despite their concerns. And what happened was they got $30 million extra for welfare, reforming the system as a result, because we were pointing out all the horrific problems that we saw. So that sort of independence is the most important thing for me, and I promise that I will bring that to the county.
Can I read about it?
Yes, you can have a 60-second.
Okay. I just want to say something. I currently work in the county auditor's office, so I take a little umbrage with the implication that we may have be soft on management currently. That is not the case. In fact, I had the great pleasure of presenting a follow-up report on an animal services audit earlier this year, in which the commissioners and the director of that program were very tough on us as to really hard questions. That happens fairly regularly. And to me, that drives home that it's not just doing good audits that matters. We have to be involving the community and reporting directly back to you on what we're finding so that you can help us apply pressure to the other government officials to make sure we get the change we need and want so that our programs are run effectively for you. It's not just enough to have really great audits and a crack team, which we already have. We have to be doing more than that. We have to be visible to you and working with you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen Gustav, and I'm the one who worked in government and with government for 25 years. So you kind of began, both of you kind of segued to the question I have. Being an elected or appointed official, you can really come in and do great things with the existing motions and the history of the staff and everybody. And you can also shake things up, which can always be, a good time, good thing to do. What I'm curious about are what are the things going on right now in Multnomah County, and particularly maybe in the auditing office, that you support and want to see continued? We hear about what the initiatives are, but too much change never gets much done. What's going on now that's going well that you want to make sure we know about that you're going to support?
Yeah, I guess it's my turn. Well, I'm not going to support anything. But I think some of the things that appear to be going reasonably well, our Sun schools, I think, seem to be doing a pretty strong job of getting into schools and providing extra supports. I think the Joint Office of Homeless Services appears to be doing a good job. I think that was a good idea to have a Joint Office of Homeless Services between the city and the county. Let's see. I think that my primary focus is going to be finding problems. I want to improve government. A lot of that is acknowledging, just like on this Portland Public Schools audit, acknowledging improvements they've made. They've increased graduation rates. They've reduced disproportionate discipline. Those are great things. But there's still so much work to do, and there's still systematic obstacles to improving the results at high poverty schools. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to acknowledge the positive things and the things that work, but I think as auditors, our job is to find out what's not going right, figure out ways that can be fixed, and make strong recommendations, hold people accountable for fixing it.
Was your question about within the auditor's office or county generally?
I kind of both, but the county generally, but your position touches.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about both things briefly. As I mentioned, I think we have a very strong team within the auditor's office. One of the things I would like to see us do is add a bit more rigor to our methodology that we use for every audit. There are certain standards we have to meet to comply with government auditing standards. And I want to overlay an equity lens on that to make sure that when we're looking at issues like housing and homelessness, we're involving different groups that are involved in those issues, whether it's advocates within neighborhood associations, whether it's seniors who are at risk of losing their housing, making sure those various groups are part of our audit process and that we report back to them. So that's one example. I also will be creating an organizational ombudsman, which the county does not have an ombudsman currently. And an organizational ombudsman would be a confidential resource for employees who are facing harassment and discrimination, as well as if they're coming up against issues like what we saw at the Unity Center of a now retired employee who brought issues to management. That person could have brought those issues to the organizational ombudsman. I'll also have a very different approach from my boss in that area. I understand that he had heard about the issues at Unity for quite some time, and his response was to put that on our audit schedule. I think our response should be to look into the complaints, to find out who's supposed to be responding to them, and to keep the pressure on to make sure that's happening. Something that I think that's going well at the county is the county has a process underway to change our enterprise resource system, so that's how our financial records are processed, how HR records are processed, how we do bidding and purchasing, so it touches every part of the county's business. And I've been impressed. We've had people from our office sitting in on various meetings to kind of observe how things are rolling out. And it seems like they're taking a very thoughtful, very appropriate approach, doing a lot of testing to make sure that transition will work well, which will benefit all of us. Thank you.
have 1.5-minute rebuttal from each of you. Or a rebuttal, but closing, not
Oh, closing, okay.
All right. Sorry.
All right. Hey, well, thanks a lot for coming. We don't necessarily get big turnouts for auditors always, so we appreciate it. So I just want to close with 3 promises. This may be a little redundant. Number 1 is I do promise to focus on the services that matter most. That's what I want you to hold me accountable for, getting results on that, making a difference, helping those services improve. Like I said, I've done it at the state. I also did it as a reporter. I'm very confident I can do it again at Multnomah County. The second promise is that I will be independent. My first loyalty is going to be to the county's clients, making sure that they get the services they need. My second one is to taxpayers and citizens like you. My third and final one is going to be to county management. And then the final thing is I promise I'll be devoted to the job. I'm 55 years old now. I've had kind of long careers as a financial auditor, reporter, now auditor, and I'm ready to kind of translate that experience to really improving our community. I really look forward to the chance to do that, and I hope it will. Thanks.
As I mentioned, I currently work in the county auditor's office. I've been there for nearly 6 years. I have a bachelor's in journalism and a master's in public administration. I focused on local government administration as well as community involvement. And those things really prepared me well to do a job that's analytical, that's about connecting with people and interviewing them, that's about leading and connecting with community. I will be, as an auditor, hoping to do lots of events like this. I've pledged to do town halls every year in different parts of the county. I want to report back to you on the work we're doing, so as I hold others in government accountable, you can hold me accountable for making sure that I'm doing what I say I would do. I really appreciate your time here tonight. I didn't mention in my opening some of the endorsements I've received, but I think you should know that the employees of Multnomah County have endorsed me, Local 88, AFSCME Local 88, which is the largest union in the county. And while we hold management accountable, we often have to get our best information from the line staff who are actually serving the vulnerable people. So I'm really proud of that endorsement. There's a bunch of others that you can check out on my voters pamphlet statement. I really see this job as an integral way to improving how we do public policy and to making sure that we get good outcomes for people as we follow the dollars. I really hope that you will vote for me. I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Excellent choices. We're not going to advocate one way or the other. But we do have Carolyn Muma and Jennifer Sandhouse, who are going to come on down and give us a chance to celebrate our new neighbors tonight. Come on down. Now, we've had some donations from around our neighborhood, and I'll give it up to them to introduce the rest.
Hi, my name's Jennifer, and this is Kara, and we just want to give you some free stuff. So, yeah, our neighborhood businesses, and we were going to do this based on some questions. So, some pretty simple questions.
Yes, as an opportunity to get to know each other. So thank you for everyone that came out. It's a great chance to actually meet your neighbors and to be involved. So we'll start with the first one. We would like to figure out who is the newest neighbor to the community. Is anyone here under a year in Rose State Park? Okay, what about 6 months? What about 3 months? Do we have 1 month?
August 15th, I moved.
August 15th, what about back here?
August 1st.
August 1st.
Okay, August 15th. 15th, you're a visitor. You're going a $25 gift card to Dew's Grill. Thank you, Dew's Grill.
Thank you.
And welcome.
so the next question, we've been talking a lot about people moving here. Who has moved here from the farthest place? So.
Out of the country?
Anybody from out of the US?
East Coast. Where in the East Coast are we? New York? Philadelphia?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
This is a hard question.
I think South Carolina's Vermont.
Does
What
it
if
count?
We have three East Coasters.
All three have
Three free burgers to Killer Burger. Crossing out.
And welcome.
Look at that. Split the difference. Welcome, I'm from the East Coast too, from North Carolina.
Yes. Where was the other?
Right in front of you.
Vermont, right?
Right here?
Oh, you had a Vermont?
All neighbors.
I guess what you said.
I don't eat burgers anyway.
They have visitors. They do have visitors.
Okay.
All right, this one is for Beaumont Hardware for $25 gift card. Who's had the most recent remodel or project?
It's still going on.
All right, let's, how should we break down the best remodel?
You should ask them a different question. What about,
Okay, the biggest remodel.
does anybody
Most recent and biggest out of the three people that, what's yours?
I was painting my 100-year-old house up on the second story this evening at 6:27 just before it started raining.
That's impressive. Kudos. You could use this gift card as well, probably. What about you guys?
We painted the exterior, painted the interior, we completely redid our ADU for basement ADU. Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a
Do we
big
have a third remodel, or is that, okay, what's your guys'?
Our first floor and attic, we replastered, put new floors in this attic, wood, and redid the floors on the first floor, and floor off the back of the house.
Oh,
Okay.
That one sounds the biggest.
I'm gonna say you win, sir. Good luck.
And where can we get half the stuff? Well, small stuff.
Beaumont Hardware.
On
Fremont.
and Fremont. Okay, last one. Do this one.
This one is for a label maker. Everyone needs it for organization, especially.
We want to know who has the largest family, including pets. So does anybody here have a family of, let's start with six.
Including pets.
Including pets.
5. Well, 5? We have 2 families with 5?
I have 1 child and 3 pets.
Okay, all right. Everyone with you? Oh,
All right.
5. Thank you, everyone.
Laura just discovered in the bag back there 2 gift cards that are legacy. I don't know if they're any good anymore. One's for Fire in the Mountain and one's from Case Study, but I think they may still be valid. So you might as well get rid of them tonight.
All right, so we actually have quite a few more prizes. We're going to split these up, and we're just going to keep this going. Who's been in the neighborhood the longest? We're going to start at 50. Do we have anyone here more than 50 years? 50 years?
Yeah,
No, Terry doesn't count as a board member.
Terry on the board. Sorry, Terry.
No board member.
40 years? 30?
32.
32?
32.
Fire in the mountain. If I've ever been fire in the mountain, it might not work. It's a fire sale. All right, this one is for Whole Foods Market, $25. We're gonna have to do.
Who moved into Rose City Park from the closest location outside of the neighborhood? So did anybody move from Beaumont, Roseway?
Ah.
You already spoke.
2 or 3.
Anybody else? So somewhere close. Anybody move from like Beaumont neighborhood, Roseway, Grand Park? What about this? Beaumont, that's adjacent. Anybody closer than Beaumont?
Before I said South Carolina, but I was in Grant Park after South Carolina. And we moved from Grant Park to here.
Grant Park or
It's also-
Beaumont? Which one's?
Beaumont's closer.
Beaumont's closer.
Beaumont, all right. Woo! Whole foods. All right. $25.
We have a great neighborhood business. Who has moved within the neighborhood more than twice? More
Within
than
the
once?
neighborhood.
Within the neighborhood. So you started in the neighborhood, moved to a different home in the neighborhood. Anybody? That's a bad question. Okay. Well, my neighbor moved within the neighborhood.
My next door neighbor has always lived in the neighborhood.
There
It's
you
not
go.
here.
Does that count kids moving in or not?
How about this one?
All right. Do we have the youngest neighbor as far as babies? Anyone? Oh?
Anybody have
Oh!
any younger neighbors? All right, Lynn, you get this coffee. Oh, yeah.
One-year-old.
So we ended up with a lot more prizes than we had questions, and I apologize. This next and last prize is for Hollywood Fitness.
Who ran here? Anybody come by People Power?
Walk.
Walk, yeah, walk.
Yeah. What?
Who came from the farthest one?
Yeah. Did anyone walk more than a mile to get here? More than a half mile?
Our neighborhood's not that long.
Yeah,
We go all the way down to like Halsey.
Let's.
We have this list.
Second newest neighbor.
Yes, who was our August 15th was you, or August 1st?
Then we had August.
Hollywood Fitness, gift card $25. Goes to you guys. Thank you.
I'll let you go. The neighborhood association, is this on?
Yes.
Probably a lot of you have joined the concerts in the park that we've done over there every summer, 2 concerts for the past few years. We have a need, there's a stage that we own, and it's been stored at a person's garage for a number of years, and they would like to divest themselves of that. Who doesn't have extra room in their garage or in their yard? If anybody, we're just throwing this out there because if you don't ask, it'll never happen. But the stage breaks down. There's a base and about 3 5x6 pieces of plywood and space about 6x5 and about 18 inches deep would house this. And we want to continue to keep putting on concerts. We need a stage. If anybody's got an idea or a space, we'd love to hear it. You can talk to us offline. Don't commit.
You don't have to raise your hand. Okay, one other announcement is we do need help with the delivery of the newsletters. So if you are interested in taking just a little bit of time, getting to know your neighbor and delivering newsletters, we have it 4 times a year. And if you can talk to Lynn over here, or check online and go to our website and give us a contact. So we'll get you lined up.
Even if you would be interested in being a backup person if we have one of our regular delivery people unable to take care of one issue.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns that should be talked about tonight? Yes.
I just want to thank all the board members for all the work you guys do.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming out.
Do you need help with the chairs?
No, not the chair.
The chairs are fine, just help clean up.